Alright, so we will be going over the brand new Dead by Daylight Quality of Life Initiative 2025 Phase 1 that was just released by Behavior recently. As it says, the Dead by Daylight team announces several roadmap updates and previews a lineup of gameplay changes, quality of life updates, and general game health improvements to come. Dead by Daylight will be undergoing substantial quality of life initiative, which should address many long-standing concerns and frustrations our players have been experiencing. The initiative will take place over the course of 2 phases. The first runs from April to June, while the second runs from July to December. For a full look at what's scheduled, check out the roadmap below. So as a result of some of these changes, they say to accommodate for the scope of their initiative, they've decided to delay several of their upcoming releases, including chapters, rifts, events, modifiers, and collections. That means that there will not be a PTB this week, which, as per the usual roadmap, this would be about the time the new PTB would come out, featuring the new killer and survivor. But they say that they did not make this decision lightly and that they feel confident that delaying their upcoming releases to prioritize this quality of life initiative will ultimately make Dead by Daylight stronger than ever, that they're always listening to the players and that this has been a long time coming. So their first order of business is they will be implementing a brand new surrender state. The team has been working on a surrender feature which should limit player frustration on both sides. To get it right, we first need to identify the situations where its use would be most appropriate, leading us to 2 scenarios: where all remaining survivors have been left on the floor and where all remaining survivors have left, being one for the survivor to quit, one for the killer to quit. Once these instances occur, players will be able to use the surrender option, ending the trial while retaining the blood points they've earned and escaping the disconnect penalty. Now, this is both positive and negative. Positive in the sense that if you feel like the game is unwinnable, and it truly is, there's really nothing you can do, you can move on. But in a way, it could also be negative because you could have people just instantly giving up. Like, say in a scenario, you have all 4 on the floor by the time there's 2 or 3 generators left. They could just instantly quit. Now, the game might not even be over necessarily at that point. One of them could have Unbreakable. One of them could 4% off a hook. There's any number of things that could happen that could alter the flow of the match, even when it looks like the game is over. If it could just be abused by people who really don't want to play against a killer they don't like and just let themselves go down, we'll have to see, because there's a lot of factors that could be going on here. Then we have the brand new gamma adjustments. Dead by Daylight can get a little dark, not just thematically, and sometimes excessive darkness can hinder playability. We're introducing the ability to adjust gamma settings on all platforms, allowing you to find a sweet spot without sacrificing the intended artistic direction. Now, at least personally on my monitor, I don't really have an issue with the way it is, but when my computer died about 2 years ago, I did have to play on a laptop that had a TN panel screen, which made the game pretty much impossible to see, to the point where I had to use filters to increase the gamma. It was so dark I actually could not see the game at all. It's hard to see. Next, they have the new Go Next prevention measure. The Go Next expression refers to instances where a survivor deliberately does everything in their power to quickly go to their next game, including walking up to the killer and standing still, running to a hook and repeatedly pointing at it, or most commonly, intentionally failing skill checks while on hook. To disincentivize and properly penalize this behavior, we'll be implementing measures that will help us identify when a player is attempting to go next. Once identified, they'll receive a disconnection penalty point and lose an entire grade. We'll be sure to keep a close eye on the system to ensure its accuracy, but we're confident that this will help alleviate the issue. So for this particular system, I would say that because it's done by an AI or whatever measure they're going to be implementing to dictate whether somebody was purposely trying to give up or not, there are probably going to be a decent amount of false positives, so I can't say that this system will really help the game much. If anything, it'll just be penalizing players for something that it misinterprets them trying to do. And they also say, on the other hand, we'd like to reward players who stick it out through those challenging matches, even when things take a dire turn. We'll be moving forward with a new emblem-based multiplier that grants additional blood points during your following match, with the bonus stacking over consecutive trials. Next, they have extreme hiding and body blocking prevention. Extreme hiding refers to survivors drawing out unwinnable match by ignoring their objective and waiting out the clock. To combat this, we're changing the way AFK crows operate. so they can more accurately identify when a player is deliberately avoiding engagement with their gameplay objective. Once a player receives crows, their location will be immediately revealed to the killer. We'll also be incorporating a feature that allows players to lose collision after receiving a third AFK crow, which should prevent instances of body blocking griefing. Now, I will say, I've been actually saying this for years, that there should be a crow system. Well, there is a crow system, but the crow system should be expanded to include not participating in the objective. I've had games where I've had 2 people, sometimes 3, very rare though, but when they get out early game, the final 2 will pretty much just sit around and do nothing. I've had times where I've had to walk around the map for upwards of 5 to 10 minutes and nothing, no gen is touched. I just happen to find them by chance, but that's a system that I'm glad to see is being updated over time. It's probably a few years too late for that, but it's still nice to see. So we will no longer have instances where the survivors can hold the killer hostage. You can't really go wrong with that. See absolutely nothing wrong with that at all. Next, we have an update for map offerings. We recognize that map offerings are a bit divisive. Some players enjoy them, while others feel that they can grant an unfair advantage. The fact that they automatically bypass both the map and realm repetition system can also add that to frustration. Moving forward, map offerings will no longer guarantee the appearance of any given map, but rather increase its chances by 20%. Note that they will not stack. We're also looking to make it so map offerings, as well as several other types of offerings, will remain a secret during load-in. That way your decision to remain in the match will not be swayed by external factors. I don't really know what to say about that one. I don't know if that's really going to help much. I feel like the veto system probably would have been better in general, because there's still so many maps that people just don't enjoy. I don't know if it's really even worth bringing a map offering for a 20% chance that you get the map, especially considering it can't stack. I kind of really don't know what to say about this one. Spawn rules. Survivor spawn placements can have a significant impact on a trial's outcome, an observation that has been repeatedly recognized by our community. It's become clear that survivors spawning separately and thereby covering more ground allow them to gain a notable advantage in completing their objective. We're changing the default survivor spawn rules to ensure that each survivor will spawn within 12 meters of one another on the same floor if applicable, like on a map like the game. To accommodate for this change, shroud offerings will be adjusted accordingly. So I would say that this is definitely a decent change, because one of the main issues with the game, and still to this day and probably always will be, is that when survivors spread, there is nothing that you, the killer, can do. There's just nothing. If 4 of them spawn on 4 different gens, they're working on and progressing 4 consecutive gens. You find approach 1, start chasing 1, the other 3 are hammering out that gen while you chase the 4th survivor down. You down them, you hook them, which can oftentimes take 10 to 15 to 20 seconds depending on how far a hook is. Then you have to walk over to what gens they're on. By that point, the gens, at least 3 of them, are probably anywhere from 50 to 80% done, depending on how the first chase went. Usually that's about ding, 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 especially when gens were about 80 seconds. It was really bad back then. It's still to a lesser degree how the games work now, but it's not as bad as it was when it was 80-second gens, but this is definitely a large help, I would say, at least when it comes to the early game spread 3 different gens at the same time occurrence that happens so often. We have improved AFK bot detection. Players that use AFK bots can be frustrating to have in your trial, and we're working on improvements to our detection systems so that we can quickly identify and penalize them accordingly. I don't think I've ever seen an AFK bot. Maybe I have. I don't remember. It's so rare. I can't really speak on that one. We do have an update to the bulk blood point spending. To speed up general blood web activity, we're adding a button that will allow you to spend blood points in bulk. Now, do they mean that you'll be able to spend all of your blood points at once? Because I think that would be a major help. Like, say you have, 2 million blood points and you want to spend them all instantly on a killer and get as many levels as you can without having to individually go through every blood web. Now, this, definitely very good. A brand new quest system, previously announced last year. The quest system is part of a larger update to the archives and rifts, so expect more information in an article specifically dedicated to that. For now, know that we will be reworking the challenge system as well as daily rituals to reduce the grind, make it easier to earn rewards, and increase the overall level of fun. It's all good. Perk loadouts and preview. After a successful round of A/B testing, will be allowing players to see their own perk loadouts while in a lobby, as well as adding additional perk loadout slots. I don't know if they mean you'll be able to see your teammates' perks as well, or if it's just your own in the lobby. We believe these changes will be an overall benefit to Dead by Daylight's health, further establishing a positive gaming environment for all of our players. We'd also like to thank you and your patience and understanding during this time. We'll be back at our anniversary broadcast in May to recap Part 1 and provide deeper insight into Part 2 of our roadmap, so keep an eye out for that announcement. In the meantime, we're looking forward to hearing your thoughts and feedback. Thanks for spending time in the fog, the Dead by Daylight team. So far, I'm not seeing anything particularly too egregious here. The give up option seems pretty fine, especially if all survivors DC. You're no longer forced to play out a match against bots lest you incur a penalty. I'm not sure how well that go next prevention is going to play out though, how strict it's going to be, or how many people are going to get flagged with a false positive. We'll have to see how that pans out. Them adding in activity crows though is something I have been recommending for years, so obviously I'm happy to see those finally be implemented. They haven't yet detailed exactly what Phase 2 of these updates entail, but they will feature anti-slugging, anti-tunneling, and anti-camping. The only question is, will they attempt to fix those issues by actually incentivizing the killer to play a certain way? So far, the response to every killer play style is just to nerf it into the ground through negative reinforcement and punish the killer for doing it, as opposed to incentivizing the killer in a positive way to not do those things through positive reinforcement. The strongest thing to this day, even through all the base game buffs such as endurance off unhook, is to get a survivor out of the game as quickly as possible, still to this day. And you're not really going to see that method change until there actually is worthwhile incentive for the killer to hook unique survivors at a base level independent of hooks. We'll just have to see how it plays out. Anyway though, let me know what you think of these changes in the comments below, and until next time.